Shadi Saleh was forced to flee because of the war. Now he doesn't just fear permanent exile in his own country, but losing his home in Douma too. The Syrian government is threatening to confiscate the homes of anyone who don't provide land ownership deeds. That requires returning to government-controlled territory. For many, that is not an option.
All laws issued by the Assad regime are unjust, and the regime wants to seize our properties and houses.
Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Syrians have been forced from their homes. Many of them left after government forces recaptured opposition territory. They fled because they are wanted for opposition activities. They could face arrest, and some fear they'll be killed. Others simply don't want to live under the rule of President Bashar al-Assad, who they blame for the deaths of so many Syrians.
The new property law is the last card the regime is using. He's punishing the people who betrayed him.
Law number 10, as it is known, was published on the Syrian state news agency's website. The deadline for registration is May the 10th, and unclaimed land will be sold at auction. The government says the law will overhaul the land registry. Others disagree.
We've already seen an example of this on the outskirts of Damascus and the new development on what was Basatin al-Razi, where actually what happened there is that the informal residents of these areas were forced out of their homes. They were dispossessed with no compensation, and the likelihood of them getting any kind of compensation is almost non-existent. So I think we will see the same scenario play out over and over again.
International aid agencies say just 9% of Syrian refugees and displaced have their property title deeds with them. That means millions could be stuck in camps in Syria and across the region. This could put pressure on refugee host nations. Already, European countries are voicing concern. The German Foreign Ministry said the legislation could change property ownership to the benefit of the Syrian government and its supporters. It also accused the government of hindering the return of a huge number of Syrians. Yusuf Musa Shaban is among them. He was an opposition media activist and says returning to government-controlled territory would be suicide.
This law is dangerous because it changes the demography which the government is doing in areas under its control. The law is unjust.
The government says the new law is needed to begin the reconstruction of areas damaged by war. Opponents say it's about demographic changes and repopulating areas with Assad loyalists. One thing is clear, the government is taking advantage of its growing strength by beginning to shape Syria when the war ends. Zeina, Khodr, Al Jazeera, Beirut.